We're not drinking water, like I said, also. So yeah.
It's about like 8 drops for the one shot hot
Ooh.
sauce.
Woo. Okay. Now I can get into the interview. Holy shit.
Welcome to Two Pepper Cinema Club. My name's Blaise,
I am James.
and today we're reviewing Paddington 2. I'm looking forward to this review because I was a huge proponent of Paddington as of yesterday.
Right, yeah, same here. Yeah.
Today, we went with Paddington's specialty, hot marmalade. And this is going to be too hot for us, hopefully at least. Anyways, we added some new hot sauces to a jar of marmalade to make our own special Paddington marmalade. In the future, I would like to create a recipe for a Paddington marmalade, but right now we're just doing it quick and easy. We added these hot sauces, made a spicy marmalade for ourselves to dine in hell today. Cheers.
Cheers. And it's Paddington approved with no crust.
No crust for Paddington. Marmalade.
So this is actually my first time trying marmalade. I've never tried before. See what the hype is.
I think this bread is just covering all the heat. Like, I'm getting a little bit on the end of my tongue.
Yeah. I'm trying to eat the whole thing quickly. That way I can get the heat bottled in. We're going no drinks this time, too. Fuck that shit. You're a bitch for drinking milk. No, I was a bitch last week for drinking milk.
So last week, total fail. But I think that creates a story in the universe of Two Pepper Cinema Club. I'm going to want to be challenging myself to eventually ride those training wheels, get up to there, be able to defeat 6 habaneros in a row, because that was one of the hardest things that I think I've ever done. One of my biggest failures in life. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to defeating the 6 habanero challenge.
Right.
And no water, too. I'm going to step up the game. Anyways, we're going to get right into it.
Paddington 2 is actually a really great sequel. I never even knew that this was a franchise, and I didn't even know a second one was coming out till it made the news of best reviewed movie on Rotten Tomatoes of all time. I was like, wait, they made a second one? And I always wanted to finish the first one. I started a while ago. It's a lovely film. The second one I really enjoyed. The comedic elements to it were great. I was laughing, and we were the only 2 people in the theater too, which was hilarious. I think it's just a great watch and a great kids movie that I wish kind of a lot more children were obsessed with. Why is everyone so obsessed with the app characters instead of a movie character like a fucking lovable bear like Paddington?
Mm-hmm. Paddington is a really old school character. I remember having a Paddington bear, but I don't quite remember the stories of Paddington bear as well. I remember Peter Rabbit much more, those stories. But the thing I loved about Peter Rabbit is really dark, and I love that these movies, both of them, I won't even mention the first one, it has this dark element to it. In the first one, Nicole Kidman just wants to stuff him. That's crazy.
Right.
It's just super dark, but at the same time it's still a very positive movie, way more positive than some of the other kids films that you see. But in the trailer for Paddington 2, there was just all these trailers for kids movies, and they all looked so I don't know, it was a very different vibe that Paddington 2 gave off.
Right.
The thing that I liked, though, was the innocence that Paddington shows. He's a very innocent character. He gives, this childlike innocence to everything that he does. When he gets in trouble, it's, not his fault. It's just, he's way in over his head. When he's washing windows, when he's cutting that guy's hair. Everything about it is he's so innocent and, gets in too far over his head and has these, crazy slapstick comedy moments that are reminiscent of Buster Keaton or Charlie Chaplin. Right. I think that's what I love about all these sequences.
I also like that they never address also just oh, why is this bear talking? That's one thing I love. They don't treat the audience dumb. They just go into it. It's just part of this universe or whatever. I hate that term, but just
I think that's an issue with world building now. Is people think that they have to explain everything. Every movie over explains it. In Man of Steel, what's terraforming? Yeah. How about it just exists? Why do you have to explain it to everyone in layman's terms? Just whatever exists. They can look it up on Wikipedia after the movie. All right, I think all the hot sauce was just in the bite that I got.
Oh, really? But, I'm going to go for the next one just to build some more hot sauce, yeah.
Okay. You can just eat that one. Mm-hmm. But, okay, yeah, it was all in the bottom end of my sandwich.
Mine never kicked in, which I feel bad about, but hopefully this one hits mine.
Maybe it was there. Mm-hmm. Anyways, Yeah, with Paddington, I felt like this was a great movie. You can tell like it has a lot of serious tones that it doesn't dumb down for kids, and I think that was one of the most enjoyable things about it. Like the director had directed some previous things before. I know this show Mighty Boosh, which is a really like well loved like cult show in England, and a lot of people in America like it as well. Also did this film called Bunny and the Bull, which I think is really what he added into Paddington while still having this realistic, like Paddington is very realistic. It's grounded in the real world. Besides, no one asking, why is a bear just talking? Why is a bear walking around? No one asks. I love that aspect of it. But Bunny and the Bull has this same kind of like tactile feel to it, where there's that pop-up book sequence that's beautiful. And Bunny and the Bull, a lot of the like props and stuff were made from cardboard, and it was just like cool, but it was almost too much that way, where he found the perfect balance in Paddington. Yeah. A lot of people have been comparing Paddington to Wes Anderson, which I can see in certain aspects. Maybe the uniforms in the jail when they went through the wash and got pink, but I don't like the just direct correlation of like, oh, this guy is just Wes Anderson, because I think he's found this perfect his own kind of he definitely has his own view, and I'd like to see him take that into some other films.
What I found crazy about this being a children's film is the editing techniques also, like especially with the first one, some of the jokes, like the orphanage joke, like had me dying in that. And like I don't know, it had like a Jean-Luc Godard feel to it. Like definitely. It felt like a very French film to me. And same thing with the second one, but with like maybe I don't know if the budget's like that much higher for this one, but like with some of the art styles that they were using, like that they didn't really incorporate that with the first one. It looked beautiful in this one, I thought.
So I mentioned Bunny and the Bull. Paul King, the director, I feel like he has his own kind of auteur feel, and I felt like in this one, like you're mentioning, he came more into his own shoes. In his previous film, Bunny and the Bull, he has just so much like art, like there's so much little like creativity and artisticness. I don't know how else to say it. Like there's a lot of things, like a lot of the props are built out of cardboard or whatever. And in this one, you're saying like when they do like the sketches or the pop-up book sequence, like a lot of those things that weren't in the original Paddington just like worked perfectly and just they felt so unique. I like the idea that you're saying they felt like a Jean-Luc or
Jean-Luc Godard.
No, I don't think it's not Godard. Sorry, Jean-Pierre Jeunet. It has that same like. It has that feel, and it does feel like a French film, like possibly French New Wave. Yeah. More so than a Wes Anderson movie. I know Wes Anderson pulls a lot from the French New Wave for like colors. Right. But I felt like this just kind of nailed that look, you know, like he nailed his own like look, but it was still grounded in reality. It wasn't too much like a Wes Anderson movie feels like a dollhouse. Right. It has no reminiscence of reality in a way, you know?
Yeah. Shout out also to the use of diegetic music also in the film too. I thought like, cause it's very rare where like you'll hear music in the background of a movie, but then you actually see a band playing in certain shots. Like I love that. It's such a cool, like little, just like,
the jazz in it, or just like the choice of music. And it brings me to one of the points that I wanted to bring up that brings me to another point. I loved all the use of music, as you've said, but watching the trailers before the film, you missed the trailers. I had to watch, I had to like sit through this, and it was just painful because it was painful, but then it made me very appreciative of Paddington too. I don't have any kids, but this would definitely be one of them that I showed. Like I would show them these movies because I think they're almost the perfect kids film. Like I think Paul King has really crafted the perfect movie for kids and adults alike. Like I think there's a lot here for adults to enjoy and a lot for kids to enjoy, while not being too simple in a way. Like the villains are ridiculously evil, scary. And I think if I think back about my childhood, I remember those like scary villains, like the witches, like Nicholas Roeg's The Witches. That shit terrified me. Mouse and the Motorcycle, movies like that, where it's just like you remember those villains. When you grow up and you remember like that's what makes a good villain. Like nowadays there's just no good villains. They make them like not that evil or just like jokingly evil. But something I did want to bring up was that they showed the trailer for this film Romeo and Juliet. Oh my god. So most of the jokes that they showed in the trailer were all based around like a curse word. What the fertilizer? Like that's the joke. A kid's not even gonna get it. Right. Like, you know, that's the joke. Like a lot of the comedy and like in Paddington 2 is just universal. It's like this Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin slapstick comedy, or like Paddington's innocence, like with these criminals. Like these criminals are just like savages, and he's just so innocent. And he turns the comedy's there when he turns them into like good guys. They're cooking all these pastries. It's like a 5-star restaurant.
Yeah, that's the best scene in the movie. Like Brendan Gleeson, seeing him in this style role, like I did not expect that out of him. Like just him just playing such a lovable like criminal in jail. Like there were some great laughs in like that whole jail scene. Yeah, I'm gonna go straight to the source on this one. The second sandwich definitely made it spicier, but after last week getting my ass kicked by
you feel like
I feel
redemption?
I need some redemption, so I'm just gonna go straight to the source. Like no marmalade coating it. We're not drinking water, like I said, also. So yeah,
it's about like 8 drops for the one shot hot sauce.
Woo! Okay. Now I can get into the interview. Holy shit. Now I can feel it, actually.
All right, give it a pop.
But we're only a couple weeks into January, and Paddington's definitely, like, left its mark for me. This is a movie I'm not going to forget till the end of the year. I'm going to get that Blu-ray for the collection, I'd say. Maybe for sequel, we'll start planning out the sequel to Paddington 3, because inevitably I think we'll get one as well.
Mama didn't raise no crust eater.
Also, just gotta say, free Paddington pin or button that we saw in the movie. I need that on a shirt. If there's any t-shirt makers out there,
I want like a Run DMC style shirt that just says "Free Pad" PADD, and it's like Paddington Bear, black and white shirt, black text.
Yeah,
I'm making that. We're making that. That's gonna be one of our shirts. And then we'll get sued for the likeness of Paddington.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get into it. I mean, I love the movie. I can't say anything more about it. There's just so many things I love about it. I thought it was so universal. It's just a great film, bottom line. It's not that it's a great or the best kids film.
Right.
It's that it's a really good movie, bottom line.
Yeah. I feel like we're praising it so much. If I had a complaint, there's hardly any complaints. It's just the end is a little sudden. You could have added like 3 more minutes.
Yeah,
on there,
it was strangely quick, but then they had that credit sequence, which kind of tied.
Yeah.
I was literally asking questions when I'm like, "What about this? What about?" And then they're like, "Look, dude, just look at the screen." But I had already checked out at that point. I'm like, I'm not reading credits.
Yeah, and I was so happy that the credits showed up because I was like, I don't want to look at Blaise right now, like because my eyes were like all like I was fighting back the tears, and I was like, oh thank God, I'm able to laugh.
When his aunt meets him, dude. Honestly, the first Paddington movie that is so dark that like I forget what the uncle's name is, Potso or something. Like he just dies.
I know, right? Away.
I was just like, what?
Yeah,
like that caught me off guard.
Yeah,
but I just love the fact that they balance these dark themes with kids while still having that childlike innocence that Paddington has. Yeah. And instead of focusing on the dark things that are in the story, like whether it's the villains just like swindling Paddington, they focus on the moral of the story, which is Paddington will find the good in anyone. Yeah. Whether it's criminals, whoever. Yeah. He'll find the good in them. Whether it's Nicole Kidman, I don't know about that. She's going to jail. Yeah. But anyways, I love that kind of moral of the story. I love these kids films that have like a good message, and it's not heavy-handed. Like I can think of some other films we've reviewed on this show.
Right.
You fill in the blanks.
Yeah. Shout out to the cameo to Richard Ayoade as well.
I loved all the cameos. Yeah. There's just so many great English actors in little roles that were just like little hints about how English this story is. Yeah. I love that. But anyways, we're gonna finish up with just a review of the hot sauces. So we had didn't really get into it at the beginning, but we had bee sting. It's a pineapple guava pepper sauce.
We thought it'd mix well with the marmalade. And this is literally just hot sauce. Essentially, you're just supposed to add 1 drop, but you saw we added a few more drops. Figs 1 drop hot sauce. It's got a good spice to it by itself, but not dying.
I will honestly say I'm not gonna. This isn't really a challenge. Yeah. And I don't want to look at every week like a challenge. I just kind of want to look at it like reviewing the sauce. But the bee sting one, this is pretty good. I think I could easily eat this bottle. Like,
no, it's tasty. Yeah, just add it to chips.
With chips or something. The 1 drop hot sauce is very mismarketed. Just 1 drop of this isn't going to do anything. Because I looked at the ingredients, it's only cayenne. I think my taste buds have kind of evolved so much where, like, if it's going to be hot, I need some ghost pepper in there. Because that has that lasting heat. Yeah. If you're, like, just getting a hot sauce, these are great sauces to start with. And if you're not even into hot sauce, Bees is a great one. But figs, it's just, like, yeah, it's like that next step of the ladder, but the heat's already gone from
Yeah.
like me dropping it on my tongue. Like it burns a little, but it's not actually burning.
I
if that
felt
makes
like
sense.
a badass not drinking water and milk this episode, but it actually wasn't that hard to do.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
pretty easy.
Yeah, so this is actually an episode where we conquered the hot sauce, which is nice. Yeah. Thanks for checking out our review of Paddington 2, guys. Next week we're going to be reviewing Winchester.
Starring Jason Clarke and Helen Mirren. We're going to be busting out a new sauce for this one, so definitely don't miss it next week. We'll see you guys then.